Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another installment of Scott's Selections here for Tuesday, January 7th. And before we get into today's play of the day, quick recap of what happened yesterday. Unfortunately, after the Boston Scott lost by half a yard, we ended up losing on the Utah Jazz minus 2.5 by half a point, which was very upsetting. It's a little bit controversial. You could have argued that Ingram got fouled with about a second to go, could have went to overtime, and the Pelicans did not use a timeout. You ended up having a shot for the Pelicans to potentially foul Utah with about .5 left. Refs just let everything go, ended up losing. Very unfortunate considering the fact that Drew Holiday ended up not playing, which caused the line to go from 2.5 to 4.5. So we got very good value on it, but unfortunately Utah was unable to win by a big enough margin as they ended up giving up 126 points. They're up about, I forgot what they were up. They're up 11 in the towards the end of the third quarter. They were up, I forgot what was going on, but overall the game was really close. He had a couple of shots there, and unfortunately it just didn't work out. But we'll look to bounce back with a winner on Tuesday. And for today's betting card, since bowl game season is pretty much over with the exception of the national championship, and since there are no NFL games or anything like that, you're stuck with NBA. Not many games on the card. You have 6 NBA games. I don't really like any of them. And you have a ton of college games. And the play of the day will be on a college basketball matchup, a primetime college basketball matchup between the Baylor Bears and the Texas Tech Red Raiders. And that game will be taking place at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And in this game, we actually like the home team here with the Texas Tech Red Raiders. And that line is available at minus 3.5 on FanDuel. And the line there is at minus 110. Now, the main reasons why I like Texas Tech in this spot, first of all, just based on the line movement alone, anytime you have the 22nd ranked team versus the 4th ranked team and the 22nd ranked team is favored, I'm generally going to lean to that side anyway, just based on the fact that if you look at both these teams and how they perform this season, Baylor should probably be favored in the spot, and yet Texas Tech is laying 3.5. Plus, the line movement there has definitely stayed steadily with Texas Tech. You'd assume that with a line like 3 or so, which is what the line opened at, money would come in on Baylor, just based on the fact that they're the number 4 team in the country. They've won 10 straight. They've looked really solid. And yet money has still continued to come in on Texas Tech. They've gone from minus 3 to minus 3.5, even available at minus 4 in some spots on the offshore markets. And most of the money, according to pregame and their cash and ticket breakdown, has come in on Texas Tech, with about 66% of the cash coming in on Texas Tech, along with 63% of the tickets. So money continues to come in on Texas Tech, and I just think that they will be the right side in the spot because of the fact that this line looks a little bit sketchy, considering the fact that the number 4 team continues to get bet against. So I think Texas Tech will be the right side. Now, the main reasons why money has come in on Texas Tech is twofold. First of all, Texas Tech had a really impressive win over the weekend, as Texas Tech was able to win its conference opener against Oklahoma State by 35 points at home. I mentioned Baylor is on a 10-game winning streak. Texas Tech's on a 5-game winning streak as well. So it's not like one team's playing really well and one team is not. Both teams have been playing really good basketball lately. But Baylor, it is worth mentioning, even though they are 11-1, they have yet to play a road game all season long. They've played a couple of neutral site games and even won a neutral site tournament against Villanova in the championship game. That game was very close. But if you're talking about Baylor being successful away from home because of their neutral court or their neutral site success, I mean, Texas Tech also beat Louisville on a neutral site also. So I think that you can argue both teams are, have had pretty impressive wins away from home this season. Texas Tech's win is by far more impressive, though, beating Louisville by, I believe it was double digits in Madison Square Garden about a month ago or so. But either or, Texas Tech at home this season is undefeated. They are 8-0, and Baylor is 0-0 on the road. Plus, it is worth mentioning that historically speaking, the home team has dominated this series, as the home team is 5-0 against the spread in the last 5 meetings. I think Texas Tech, who generally plays better in the United Supermarkets Arena, will continue to play well. I think the fact that the money has come in on Texas Tech is definitely a good sign for the Red Raiders. And it's also worth mentioning that if this game does come down to free throw shooting, both teams probably won't score that much. I know Texas Tech has the better offense according to stats, as Texas Tech is scoring 76.8 points per game, and Baylor is scoring 75.7 points per game. But at the same point, Texas Tech and Baylor are phenomenal defensively, as Baylor is giving up 58.9 points per game, and Texas Tech is giving up 62.2 points per game. Baylor plays their Scott Drew zone defense. Texas Tech has their Beard defense, which is just absolutely fantastic, and I mean, everyone saw it en route to the championship game last year. But at the end of the day, Texas Tech is the better free throw shooting team by a wide margin, which I think will cause the Red Raiders to cover the spread. Baylor shooting 71% from the line, which is definitely respectable, but they've actually broken down who on their team can shoot free throws. Very, very top-heavy. They have a couple of outliers, as their top two players in Butler and Teague are shooting 84% and 92.3%. The rest of the team, nobody else above 78. You have a couple of 60% shooters. You got a 46% shooter in there who's playing 24 minutes a game. You also have a 54% shooter who plays about 11 minutes per game. Baylor is not very well-rounded in terms of free throw shooting. Most of their high percentages are very top-heavy, just based on the fact that their main two players tend to shoot the most free throws on the team, so that's why their percentage is so high. But for Texas Tech, they're a lot more well-rounded in terms of the free throw percentage. If you've also looked at their overall team, they're a lot more balanced offensively in terms of production, so I think they should be able to overwhelm Baylor with their scoring depth. To break it down, though, for Texas Tech with their free throw shooting, Baylor shooting 71%, Texas Tech is shooting 76%. They've been really good at the line. If you've also looked at the rest of the team here, you have Moretti, who's shooting 93.8%. He's one of the best free throw shooters in the country. You have Shannon Jr., who's shooting 84.1% from the free throw line. Then you have a couple of guys in the 70s. I think they're just the better free throw shooting team from top to bottom. Plus, Texas Tech is deep, as I mentioned before. Texas Tech has 5 players who are currently averaging at least 10 points. So even if one player has a bad game in either Ramsey or Moretti, I expect some other people to step up. Baylor relies a little bit too much on its high-profile guards to get most of the scoring done, and I think if Texas Tech is able to take one of the two out of the game, I think they will struggle offensively. Baylor, despite winning over the weekend against Texas, was awful offensively. They only scored 59 points, and I think Texas Tech should be able to force Baylor into some very tough possessions, whereas Texas Tech's offense is balanced enough to overcome Baylor's zone with some solid passing and some patience, which Texas Tech is known for. So play today, once again, will be on Texas Tech minus 3.5, and that one is available on FanDuel at minus 110. Now looking at the rest of the betting card here, I'm going to stick to college basketball for some brief NBA leans. I'll lean to the over in the Villanova-Creighton game. That line's gone up from 146.5 to 148.5. Villanova is very good at shooting, not great at defense. Creighton, everybody knows, plays an up-tempo style. They score a lot of points at home, don't really play much defense. I think one of these teams should score 80. I think this game should get into the 150s. Lean to the over in that one. Other than that, what else do I like here? I'm going to lean to Louisville minus the 13 here against Miami. Miami had a shot at a high-profile win over the weekend. Got absolutely embarrassed by Duke in Miami. So it was at home, and they lost by 33 points. That is not exactly a good look. Louisville has lost each of their last 2 games. They lost a tough road game in overtime to Kentucky, and they lost at home to Florida State by 13. Definitely a poor loss, but Florida State's actually pretty good. But Miami, that Duke performance is really just not a good sign, as the record that they have at 9-4 is mostly due to the fact that they haven't really played many tough teams, and when they have, they've gotten pretty much embarrassed. So I think Louisville should come out ready to get back to their winning ways, and I think that you should see Louisville perform well in this game, and for that reason, lean to Louisville minus the 13 in that one. Other than that, though, what else do I like here? I'll lean to Penn State minus the 1 against Rutgers. I know this line's a little bit short, which is concerning, but the line movements come completely on Penn State. I know that Big Ten teams have struggled on the road this season, but Rutgers has gone from a minus 2 favorite to a 1.5 point underdog. I think Penn State's probably going to be the right side there. Lean to Penn State on that one. Now for the NBA looks here, I was going to lean to the Thunder against the Nets, but that line is completely favored Brooklyn, as Oklahoma City went from -2 to -1. Both teams are playing the second end of a back-to-back, so rest is not going to be... rest is going to be an issue for both teams, but not one team will have an advantage in that aspect. So that is something to keep in mind. The Nets have been absolutely terrible. They've lost 6 straight. They've been really bad. As a Nets fan, it's pretty disappointing to watch. But that's kind of expected, and Kyrie's probably going to get shut down for the rest of the year. Oklahoma City has played well lately. They did lose to the 76ers yesterday, but overall, they did fight pretty hard. They ended up losing by 7. Nets have lost 6 straight. Oklahoma City is the better defensive team, and I just think that they're just the deeper overall team, so lean to the Thunder on that one. But other than that, though, don't really like anything else on today's NBA card. Nothing really staring me in the face. Play the day once again will be on Texas Tech, -3.5, which is available at FanDuel at -110. That's going to be the installment of Scott Selections here on Tuesday, January 7th. Good luck to all of you and your respective bets today. Bye, everyone.